Welcome to the Deconstructionist Deep Dive.
The podcast that doesn't just accept the story.
We break it
We examine the pieces.
and expose the machinery inside. Let's dive in.
What if everything about just one more, that relentless pursuit of success, isn't just wrong, but is designed to keep you forever chasing a horizon that never stops receding?
Okay, so today we're really tearing into something huge. It's one of those ideas that's everywhere in culture, isn't
Oh,
it?
absolutely. Profitable, too. This whole just one more mentality.
Right. Sounds simple, even motivating on the surface. Push a little harder. What could be wrong with that?
Well, that's the hook. The sources we're looking at argue it's not just advice, it's the core of a really quite sophisticated system of psychological control.
A control system, that sounds...
It is. We're calling it the infinite effort engine. And it runs on this fundamental idea, the one more principle.
Okay, break that down. The one more principle.
The core idea is just this. Whatever you want, success, happiness, wealth, you name it, it's always just one tiny step away. Always.
The ultimate carrot on a stick.
Right.
Like one more sales call makes the difference.
Or one more hour at the gym, one more day sticking to the diet. That's when the magic happens, apparently.
So it creates this feeling of constant potential, but potential that's never actually realized.
Precisely. The analysis calls it a perpetual motion machine of effort. Think about it. If the goal is always just ahead.
You can never stop.
Exactly. The system structurally prevents satisfaction. It's like that runner, The finish line moves forward every time they take a step.
So they're always sprinting, full tilt, but getting no closer.
Right. And that translates to continuous effort, physical, emotional, professional, all without a guaranteed end. It's just more.
Wait, hang on. So the design is to stop you from ever feeling like you're done, like you've achieved enough?
That's the core insight here. It's not just about effort. It's about creating a perpetual sense of deficit. You're always lacking that one more thing.
Wow. Okay, that feels... Yeah, insidious is the word.
And that leads right into the next piece, the great lie presupposition.
The great lie.
Okay. The whole system rests on this assumption. What you desire is always far away, inherently distant.
And that distance is framed as why people normally fail.
Correct. The system then positions itself as the hero, the one revealing the truth.
So if I feel stuck, the guru says, you believe the lie that success is far off or requires systemic change. But I know the secret.
The secret is, it's just one more try away. You just haven't fully embraced my system yet.
And boom, dependency established.
Instantaneously. Because if you accept that premise that the goal is always one more away, then the only way to succeed is to keep engaging with the system that tells you how to do that one more.
It guarantees its own market. The problem it claims to solve is actually a feature of the system itself. You need the next book, the next seminar, because the finish line keeps moving.
Exactly. It's a closed loop. And to keep you in that loop, they need to convince you it works, right?
Which brings us to the stories, the dramatic turnarounds.
Yes, the flawed promise of proximity of transformation. This is the claim that one small action, that single one more, can trigger a massive life-altering change.
Like the business saved on the brink of bankruptcy, or the addict getting sober after that one last try.
Yeah.
Very compelling stuff.
Extremely compelling because it's anecdotal. It hits you emotionally. It's narrative, not data.
And that's where the bias comes in.
Bingo. Survivorship bias. This is the critical flaw. We only hear the stories from the supposed winners.
The ones who happen to hit the jackpot on their one more try.
Think about it. For every one of those stories, how many thousands, maybe millions of people did the exact same one more thing, one more call, one more rep, one more day, and got nothing?
Failure, burnout, debt, giving up.
Right. All those results are invisible in the narrative. The system deliberately ignores the massive evidence of non-transformation.
Selects the outlier, the survivor, and presents their random luck or maybe timing as proof the principle works for everyone.
And worse, it forces you, the listener, to internalize the idea that if you failed, it's because you didn't have the willpower for that final one more. It wasn't the system, it was you.
Yeah, and that is a heavy burden to place on someone.
So we have the basic structure, this infinite effort engine, built on a lie, fueled by skewed stories.
The cage, essentially.
Yeah.
Now, how do they keep people inside the cage? How do they bypass critical thinking?
Well, they need to make it seem legitimate, even scientific. Which leads to the first big control lever, misapplied neuroscience. We're calling it the RAS scam.
The RAS, the Reticular Activating System. I've heard this one.
It's everywhere in self-help, isn't it? The claim is your RAS filters reality based on what you focus on or believe, like the law of attraction dressed up in biology.
Visualize the blue Ferrari, they say, and your RAS will magically start showing you opportunities to get one.
Right. But the reality check, the actual RAS is, well, much more basic. It's an attention filter, primarily for survival.
Like noticing your name called in a crowd or sudden movement, a potential threat.
Exactly. It's about immediate relevance and potential danger. It doesn't care about your 5-year goals or your vision board Ferrari. It's not designed for cosmic ordering.
So the exploitation has taken a real piece of brain anatomy
Yeah.
without twisting its function.
Completely twisting it. They use it to give intense goal setting this veneer of scientific necessity. You're not just daydreaming, you're engaging your neurobiology.
Which makes it feel crucial, non-negotiable. If you don't achieve the goal, it's not the goal or the system that's flawed.
It's you. You just haven't activated your RAS properly. It puts all the onus back on the individual's internal state.
Okay, so that's the pseudo-intellectual justification. What about the emotional side?
That's where the next lever comes in, and
Yeah.
it's a powerful one. The pain as qualification axiom.
Pain as qualification, meaning
The idea that suffering, struggle, failure, these aren't just unfortunate events. They are necessary qualifying experiences. They earn you the right to succeed or to help others.
oh, that's classic toxic positivity, isn't it? Your hardship isn't bad. It's your training montage.
Exactly. Your trauma becomes your credential. My struggle isn't a sign I need help or systemic change. It's proof I'm being forged into something great, like a future guru or tough entrepreneur.
And the power function there is
What?
what? It makes you accept bad situations.
Precisely. It justifies unnecessary suffering. Think about startup culture, the 80-hour weeks. It's not exploitation, it's paying your dues. It's the necessary pain to become worthy.
So if you complain about the conditions, you're just showing you haven't understood the axiom yet. You're not seeing your pain as preparation.
You got it. You're failing the test. Now, the system also needs urgency. It needs you to act now.
The ticking clock.
Enter the temporal scarcity trigger. This leverages our deep, primal fear of death, mortality, anxiety,
Yeah, they'll have so much time. Tomorrow isn't promised.
that kind of thing.
Yes, the power of one day is supposedly only understood when you face your own limited existence.
But the effect isn't genuine inspiration, is it? It sounds more like panic.
It's urgency driven by dread. And when you're panicked, what don't you do? You don't stop and think rationally. You don't question the demands being made on you.
Exactly. Critical thinking goes out the window. If you believe time is running out, you're much more likely to comply immediately with whatever the system tells you to do right now.
The urgency bypasses reflection. You don't ask, is this one more actually aligned with my real values or just the system's values?
And perhaps the most profound lever, psychologically speaking, is the command to operate from vision, not history.
Operate from vision, not history.
Yeah.
So ignore your past.
Essentially, yes. Abandon your identity based on memory, your past experiences, failures, traumas, even your collective or cultural history. Replace it entirely with an imagined future, the vision.
That sounds incredibly naive psychologically. We are our histories, aren't we? Our past shapes our present.
It absolutely does. Denying that denies how trauma works, how resilience is built, how identity is formed. It treats people like blank slates, which we aren't.
But it must serve a purpose in this system. What's the function?
The analysis suggests a clear political function, creating the ahistorical subject.
Ahistorical, meaning rootless.
Exactly. If you're detached from your personal past, from collective memory, from understanding why things are the way they are, historically or systemically, you become very easy to manipulate.
If you can't look back and say, hey, this approach didn't work before, or this structure seems designed to fail people like me,
Then every struggle becomes purely personal, a failure of your vision, your willpower. You have no context, no roots.
so you become completely reliant on the system's narrative, its vision, because you've been told to erase your own grounding in reality.
That's chilling.
Okay, so the engine is running, the cognitive and emotional levers are pulled, people are striving. But what happens when it doesn't work? When burnout hits or the promises just don't materialize, surely people would just quit.
A good control system anticipates failure. It needs fail-safes, ways to manage disappointment and keep the user engaged despite the lack of results. Psychological safety nets, if you will.
Makes sense. What's the first one?
The first is a beautiful contradiction, the separation from outcome paradox.
Separation from outcome. I know this one too. Focus on the process, not the results. Enjoy the journey. Classic advice.
Very classic. The assertion is that being attached to a specific outcome actually hinders your performance. You have to love the grind itself.
But wait, the entire system is built on achieving outcomes. The one more is for the result, the transformation, the Ferrari.
Precisely. That's the paradox. It's completely goal-oriented until the goals aren't met. Then suddenly the problem wasn't the system or the effort.
It was your attachment to the goal. You failed because you wanted it too much.
You got it. It reframes failure as a philosophical error on your part. You weren't truly committed to the process.
And that ignores reality for so many people, doesn't it? The privileged blind spot.
Hugely. This detached, almost zen-like non-attachment to results. That's a luxury.
If you're struggling to make rent or feed your kids, you are attached to the outcome. You don't have the privilege of being philosophical about it.
Right. So when the system preaches this universally, it basically pathologizes the real material needs and anxieties of most of its users. It blames them for needing the outcome.
Okay, so that manages short-term disappointment. What about long-term lack of results? Years of effort with nothing to show.
For that, they roll out the piñata effect, also known as the cumulative blows theory.
The piñata effect. Okay, I'm intrigued.
The analogy is simple but powerful. Imagine hitting a piñata. Each swing seems to do nothing, right? The piñata looks unchanged.
Yeah, until it suddenly bursts open.
Exactly. The system claims your persistent, seemingly invisible efforts are like those blows. They are creating internal damage, compound progress even if you can't see it, and eventually, bam, rewards will spill out.
That is incredibly seductive. It's the perfect justification for why nothing is happening yet.
It provides plausible deniability for any duration of failure. Why haven't I succeeded after 5 years? Oh, you just haven't hit the piñata enough. Keep swinging.
It's a delay mechanism. It keeps you locked in, justifying infinite effort with just the hope of a sudden eventual payoff.
And it preys on the sunk cost fallacy. I've swung so many times already, I can't stop now. The next hit might be the one.
Even if you're just swinging at empty air, that's a really cruel analogy when you break it down.
It is. And to keep you swinging indefinitely, especially when it gets hard, the system needs to tap into something deeper. It co-opts our most noble emotions. Enter the love axiom.
The love axiom. Don't tell me this is about.
Oh, yes. Love for your family, your children, your parents, even for yourself. That is positioned as the ultimate, inexhaustible fuel for enduring the grind.
Wow. So the manipulation is linking this unquestionable emotion, love, to the relentless effort.
Precisely. It sanctifies the hustle. It valorizes overwork. If you want to quit, if you're exhausted.
You're not just tired. You're failing your loved ones. You're not showing enough love.
Exactly. It reframes personal exploitation as a noble act. Working yourself to the bone isn't burnout. It's loving service or self-care for your future. It makes suffering morally righteous.
That's deeply manipulative, using love as a weapon to enforce compliance.
And they also twist genuine psychological insights, like the concept of emotional homes.
Weaponizing emotional homes, what does that mean?
Well, there's a valid psychological theory that people tend to have default emotional states, comfort zones, like maybe anxiety or inadequacy or even chaos that they subconsciously gravitate towards.
Okay, that sounds plausible. Patterns we fall into.
The insight itself is useful, but the system immediately weaponizes it.
How?
By suggesting that your negative emotions, stress, frustration, burnout aren't valid responses to your actual circumstances, like an exploitative job or financial pressure. No, they're just bad habits.
So if I feel awful, the system says you're just subconsciously seeking out negativity. Change your emotional habit.
Exactly. It completely dismisses the material reality of your situation and puts the entire burden back on you to just feel differently. You need to fix your internal emotional home, not the external situation causing the distress.
Keeping you focused inward on self-optimization rather than questioning the external system.
Always. And finally, there's the master stroke, the ultimate safety valve, the check-in command.
The check-in command sounds reasonable, like self-reflection.
It's presented that way. Regularly audit your desires. Recognize your current life season. It seems like the system is offering a moment of flexibility, maybe even kindness.
Like, okay, maybe this goal isn't right for you now. Adjust.
But it's not really about flexibility in the way you might think. Our analysis suggests it functions as a calculated pressure release.
A safety valve.
How? It allows you to make minor adjustments. Shift focus from, say, a business goal to a fitness goal. Take a short break. Feel like you're regaining control.
Which prevents a complete meltdown, a total rejection of the system.
Precisely. It stops you from burning out so badly that you abandon the one more framework entirely. It keeps you on the track, even if you switch lanes temporarily.
But crucially, It never encourages you to question the fundamental demand for infinite effort itself, does it?
Never. You can change the target of your striving, but not the necessity of striving. The core engine remains untouched. You feel empowered by the small pivot, but the overall control structure stays firmly in place.
Okay, let's zoom out now. We've looked at all these individual pieces, these 12 nodes. When you put them together, you see a clear, almost algorithmic process, a logical flowchart of control.
A step-by-step system for
Well,
dismantling critical thinking and ensuring continuous effort.
pretty much, let's trace it. Step 1, emotional priming.
Right. Using temporal scarcity, the fear of running out of time, combined with the love axiom, the moral duty to strive. Urgency plus righteousness.
You must act now, and it's your loving duty to do so. Step 2, cognitive restructuring.
That's the operate from vision, not history command. Wiping the slate clean, cutting you off from your past, your context, making you receptive to the system's programming. Step 3, mechanistic justification.
The RAS scam, giving it that veneer of science. This works because biology.
Making the required action feel scientifically necessary, not just motivational fluff. Step 4, the action imperative.
The core, one more principle. Here are the infinite, bite-sized, never-ending steps you must take. Get on the treadmill.
Keep running. Step 5, psychological safeguards. This is failure management.
When the results don't come, deploy the separation from outcome paradox and the piñata effect analogy. It's not the system's fault, it's your philosophy, or you just haven't hit it enough times yet.
Managing disappointment, keeping you in the game. Step 6, moral justification for the struggle.
Pain is qualification. Your suffering isn't failure. It's a necessary, even noble part of the process. Makes you worthy.
Reframing hardship as a credential. And finally, step 7, system maintenance.
The check-in command, the safety valve, allows minor adjustments to prevent total burnout, keeping you within the system's bounds.
It's a remarkably well-designed, self-perpetuating loop.
Flawlessly circular, maybe. But you said it has vulnerabilities because it's built on distortions.
Absolutely. These high-priority structural flaws practically guarantee negative outcomes for most users.
Okay, what's the biggest one?
The most obvious is the infinite grind loop itself, created by Node 1. It structurally guarantees two things: eventual burnout and permanently deferred satisfaction.
You're literally forbidden from ever feeling enough. The system demands perpetual striving.
Then there's the inherent toxic positivity from Node 5. By framing pain as qualification, it pathologizes completely normal, healthy responses to difficulty, grief, anger, frustration.
If you feel bad, the system tells you it's your fault, your attitude is wrong, which just justifies more self-exploitation or accepting bad situations.
Exactly. It blames the victim for their emotional response. And Node 7, the historical denialism, that's a huge flaw.
Creating those rootless, ahistorical subjects, easy to manipulate because they lack context.
If you can't see the historical or systemic patterns of exploitation or inequality, you can't challenge them. You just keep trying one more time individually.
And the foundation itself is shaky, right? The justification.
Completely. The pseudoscientific basis, Node 4, the RAS scam, the reliance on anecdotes undermines the whole thing. It's faith masquerading as science. When the why is flawed, the what becomes suspect.
Finally, that piñata effect, Node 11.
The delayed gratification extremism. It justifies sticking with potentially useless or harmful efforts indefinitely.
You could be pouring your life force into something fundamentally flawed or impossible, but the system tells you the massive payoff is always just around the corner. Don't quit now.
It traps people in potentially futile loops, bleeding them dry emotionally and financially.
So if this system is so flawed, leads to burnout, relies on dodgy science, the big question is cui bono? Who benefits? Why is it so incredibly pervasive and, frankly, profitable?
That's the crucial next step in the deconstruction, identifying the power structure beneficiaries. The analysis points to 4 main groups.
Okay, lay them out. Who gains from this narrative?
First, and perhaps most significantly, capital.
How so?
Think about it. If workers genuinely believe that their success or failure is solely down to their individual effort, whether they made that one more call, stayed one more hour, they never question the system itself.
They internalize the pressure, they don't demand better wages, better conditions, systemic change.
Exactly. They just blame themselves for not striving hard enough. It provides capital with potentially unlimited effort without commensurate compensation or structural accountability. It perfectly offloads systemic economic problems onto the individual psyche.
The economy isn't broken, you just need more hustle.
Precisely. The second beneficiary, the self-help industry itself.
Well, that seems obvious. They're selling the system.
Yes, but it's how they benefit. By creating a system where satisfaction is perpetually deferred, infinite effort, and failure is always the user's fault. Pinata effect, separation from outcome. They guarantee repeat business.
The solution is always the next product, the next seminar.
Sure.
Because the current one inevitably leaves you still needing one more thing.
It's an infinite market built on a designed dissatisfaction. Third beneficiary, the political status quo.
How does the status quo benefit from self-help?
It's a powerful tool for diversion. If everyone is hyper-focused on individual self-optimization, tweaking their mindset, visualizing success, auditing their life seasons.
They're not focusing on collective action, political organizing, demanding policy changes, challenging the structures that create inequality in the first place.
Exactly. It channels energy inward, away from potentially disruptive social or political engagement. It substitutes personal development for political agency. Don't change the world, change yourself.
A very effective way to maintain existing power structures.
And fourth, the analysis points to how these narratives often reinforce patriarchal systems.
In what way?
The intense focus on rugged individualism, stoic endurance, suppressing vulnerability, radical self-reliance. These are traits historically associated with and valorized within traditional masculinity and patriarchal power structures.
It implicitly devalues things like interdependence, collective care, emotional expression, acknowledging systemic barriers.
Right. Things often associated with feminist critiques or alternative models of community, so it subtly reinforces those older hierarchies.
Okay, that's a powerful lineup of beneficiaries. To really grasp this, you suggest looking at historical parallels.
Yes, using a cross-ideological comparative framework. It helps see that this isn't entirely new. It's a modern iteration of older control mechanisms.
All right, let's compare. The one more principle.
Its clearest ancestor is the Protestant work ethic. That idea of relentless labor as a sign of divine favor, of inherent virtue in constant striving.
Contrast that with
Something like the Taoist concept of wu wei. Effortless action, acting in flow, recognizing when not striving is the appropriate response. It asks, is this effort actually productive or just busyness?
and thinkers like Mark Fisher on capitalist realism.
Yeah.
How does that fit?
Fisher argued that under late capitalism, the demand for constant productivity becomes inescapable, almost atmospheric. One more is just the personalized, internalized version of that relentless pressure.
Okay. What about pain as qualification?
There are strong echoes of certain interpretations of Christian suffering theology. The idea that enduring pain builds character or earns spiritual reward. Suffering as ennobling.
And the contrasts.
Maybe Stoic acceptance. Stoicism acknowledges pain as real and often unavoidable, but it doesn't necessarily valorize it as a prerequisite for wisdom or success. It's something to be endured with virtue, not necessarily sought out or celebrated.
Trauma theory also pushes back against glorifying pain, right?
Absolutely. It argues pain is just experience. It doesn't automatically make you qualified or better. Toxic positivity turns trauma into a resume item, which benefits the system, not the survivor.
Next. Operate from vision, not history.
That's the quintessential American reinvention myth, isn't it? Shed your past, become anyone you want through sheer willpower. The self-made myth.
Contrasted with
Think about indigenous concepts of intergenerationality. The self isn't separate from history or community. It's deeply interwoven with ancestors, land, collective memory, future generations. History is integral, not disposable.
and Foucault's ideas on how subjects are formed.
Foucault would likely see operate from vision as a technique of power, deliberately creating a subject detached from historical context, making them more pliable, more responsive to current demands, less able to resist based on past experience.
Finally, temporal scarcity, the fear of time running out.
It connects to ancient ideas like memento mori, remember death, used traditionally to encourage virtuous living or appreciating the present.
But the one more system uses it differently.
Yes, it weaponizes it to create panic and bypass thought. Contrast that with something like the Long Now Foundation's perspective, emphasizing deep time, long-term thinking, sustainable action over frantic urgency.
And Byung-Chul Han's Burnout Society.
Han's work is key here. He argues we've shifted from societies of external discipline, you must do this, to societies of achievement, I must do more. We become our own taskmasters.
The power of one more is like the ultimate mantra of that achievement society.
Yeah.
The self-exploiting whisper, you're not doing enough, just one more.
Precisely. It's the internalized foreman constantly cracking the whip. So, After tearing it all down, piece by piece, what's the final diagnosis? What is the core deception at the heart of this entire power of one more system?
It seems the core deception is this grand promise
Yeah.
that liberation, freedom, success, it's all an individual journey,
Mm.
a project of just trying harder, thinking more positively, endlessly striving alone.
Right. The lie is that the cage you feel trapped in, it's just a personal challenge, a test of your willpower, your grit. If you just push one more time, you'll break free.
But the reality, based on this deconstruction, is almost the opposite. Real freedom, meaningful change, often requires collective awareness and action against the systems, psychological and material, that create the cage in the first place.
Individual achievement narratives are perfectly designed to prevent you from seeing those structures. They turn every systemic barrier into a perceived personal failing. The wall is too high, you just didn't jump hard enough.
And the ultimate irony. It's quite stark, isn't it?
Devastatingly so. The freedom you're promised through endless adherence to this system, it actually creates a deeper kind of bondage.
You trade external constraints for the internal prison of constant self-monitoring, self-criticism, and the never-ending demand for one more. You become your own jailer.
So if that's the diagnosis, what's the alternative? What does a path toward actual flourishing look like based on the counter-philosophies we touched upon?
It seems it requires a fundamental shift away from the core tenets of this achievement at all costs mentality. A different framework entirely.
The liberation alternatives framework, what does it prioritize?
Well, first, valuing collective support systems over heroic solo striving. Recognizing that interdependence, community, mutual aid, these are human strengths, not signs of weakness.
Moving from me to we, what else?
A focus on structural change and policy reform over purely personal optimization, instead of just trying to be a better, more efficient cog in a potentially broken machine.
Demand that the machine itself be redesigned to serve human well-being, fairness, and stability. Redirect that striving energy outwards.
Exactly. And this requires rethinking success itself, embracing adequacy or enoughness instead of the impossible demand for infinite improvement.
Learning to recognize when things are actually okay, when you have enough, when you are enough. Rejecting the perpetual deficit model that the one more system thrives on.
And finally, reclaiming our past. Choosing embodied wisdom, honoring history, over that disembodied vision that erases context.
Accepting that our history, our collective memory, even our traumas, are part of us. They provide context, resilience, and the ability to see patterns of injustice rather than just blaming ourselves for our reactions to them.
So the ultimate path forward isn't about finding a better way to play the one more game. It's about realizing the game itself is rigged.
It's about recognizing and silencing that internalized overseer, the voice whispering, just one more. The cage isn't a test of your individual heroism, it's a structure.
And structures can be understood, critiqued, and ultimately dismantled. But it starts with seeing the bars, seeing the system.
And that's our deep dive for this week.
Remember, the most dangerous illusion is the one you don't know you're in.
But now you know. So here's our question for you. So now we've torn apart the power of one more mentality. Here's our question for you. Where in your own life have you been swinging at a piñata that might actually be empty? And what would it mean to finally put the bat down?
Let us know in the comments. Question the narrative. Deconstruct the dogma. See the system.
We'll see you next time. Stay skeptical.